You struck my son.
Yes, sir, I did.
And may I ask why?
Because you stole John Wick's car, sir, and killed his dog.
Nothing can stop and nothing can change it. You better just make new living arrangements. If you think you the top and king of the castle, you about to be thrown off the throne and ripped a new asshole. All I hear is I'm best at this and I'm best at that, but I don't hear my name known and brought up in rap. And I don't usually trip a tag, get caught up in that. But when they say one of the best in the way, I thought of is that. Not even the same league as Jay-Z, Nas, Pop, Biggie, or maybe the name me somewhere down the bottom right after AC or say he ripped the Biggie verse like Jay-Z. Yo, his verses were crazy and renegade beat, but I ain't never bought no whole CD or shady. And all I hear is pop tunes come on the radio. Oh, when they play them 20 times in a row daily, and if everyone may be.
And got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. Yeah, no turning back now. I wanna be pushed aside, so let me go. No turning back now. Let me take back my life. I'd rather pay all the love. No turning back now. Anywhere on my own, 'cause I can say. No turning back now. The very worst part of you is me.
I remember what they taught to me. Remember condescending talk of who I ought to be. Remember listening to all of that and this again. So I pretended I'm a person who is fit and pretend everything is what I want it to be. I look exactly like what you had always wanted to see. When I pretend I can forget about the criminal I am, stealing second after second just 'cause I know I can. But I can't pretend this is the way it'll stay. I'm just
Trying to bend the truth,
I can't pretend I'm who you want me to be. So I'm
lying my way.
be like this. This isn't what I wanted to be. I never thought that what I said would have you running from me. Like this. This isn't what I wanted to be. I never thought that what I said would have you running from me.
So hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. Yeah,
No turning back now.
I wanna be pushed aside, so let me go.
No turning back now.
Let me take back my life. I'd rather pay all the
No
love.
turning back now.
Anywhere on my own, 'cause I can say.
No turning back
The
now.
very worst part of you is me.
People keep asking me what back, and I haven't really had an answer. But now, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
Can you picture my prophecy? Stress in the city, the cops are topping me. The project is full of bullets, the bodies is dropping. They ain't no stopping me. Constantly moving while making millions. Witnessing killings, leaving dead bodies in abandoned buildings. Can't reach the children 'cause they're illin'. Addicted to killing and the appeal from the gap billing. Without feeling, but will they last? So be blasted, hard-headed bastard. Maybe you'll listen in this casket, the aftermath. More bodies being buried. I'm losing my homies in a hurry. They relocating to the cemetery. Got me worried, stressing my business blurry. The question is, will I live? No one in the world loves me. I'm headed for danger. Don't touch strangers, put one in the chamber whenever I'm feeling this anger. Don't wanna make excuses, 'cause this is how it is. What's the use unless we're shooting? No one notices the youth. It's just me against the world.
And got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. Yeah,
No turning back now.
I wanna be pushed aside, so let me go.
No turning back now.
Let me take back my life. I'd rather pay all the
No
love.
turning back now.
Anywhere on my own, 'cause I can say.
No turning back
The
now.
very worst part of you is me.
I gave him an impossible task. A job no one could have pulled off. The bodies he buried that day laid the foundation of what we are now.
She smelling like Patron, singing dirty rap song. Tiptoeing in the crib like 6 in the morning. Every
stays the same. Set in blueprint that I never change. It's just a part of the game. Respect me, I'm a thug. I might cool out for a sec, but expect me to bug. It's in my blood, but if my chick leave me, she gon' leave me for something. She gon' leave me cause hell, she ain't gon' leave me for nothing. Picture me getting up with something sleazy, something so easy. You can take out its speed like nothing. Something soon as you finish cutting, you like leave me, please, not me. I need Angelina Jolie's comfort, so I ain't gon' make a move unless I got a plan B. That'll happen the day I have a baby by 3. Not to say that anything is wrong with free, just to say that ain't nothing wrong with me.
Trust in you, pushed as far as I can go.
Lyrics coming at you at supersonic speed.
Some of them do on a dang old human, man. Boy, I tell you what, I get a goddamn superhuman, innovative, animated dang old rubber, so that anything you say is ricocheting back at you, man. Devastated more than ever, demonstrating how to get a dang old audience of feeling like a levitating, faded like a farmer's can, man. I tell you what, here's getting worked up, complain hot like propane, boom, Howard spitting them facts, man, spinning them rhymes like a dang old tornado, jib jabbing like it just ain't no thing. Why be a god and not a dang old king?
Boomhauer, I didn't understand a word you just said.
I'm sorry. I love it. I love it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a little bit of Pick'em. Now, as we get into this, I in no way endorse gambling on sports. I've said it in the past, and I will stand by it. I will never take a sponsorship from any betting platform, but I do think it's a cool exercise to see how right I can be against the spread. Now, if I had any sort of history of doing well picking the spread, the last thing I would do is come on the internet and give those picks. So, all for fun. Let's go up through the chat here. Face Zach says, "What's up, Wreck?" What's going on, Face Zach? How are you, sir? Excuse me, hope you're doing well. John Burns says, "Beat the Canes." That would be great. We're going to see tonight the line is moved about 4 points. I think it started at 16 and a half. It's moved to 20 and a half, depending on where you look, which I said when the line initially came out at like 16. I didn't think those were enough points. I wouldn't have set the line at that. And I guess Vegas listens to RecTalk because they moved it to right about where I said it should be. T-Far says, "Hell yeah, how did you become a Tech fan?" Tech fans aren't chosen. They're made. I was born a Tech fan. I also went to school there. T-Far also says, "The hell with Georgia." Also, let me do this. All right. I think you can hear me a little better now. John Bird says, "I'll be rooting for both Kentucky teams tomorrow." Well, there you go. CJ gives the upside down U there, which I can definitely get behind. E. Johnson 688, "How often do you do live shows?" In the past, I haven't done them that often. Lately, I do them about every other day. Because I love football that much. I just love it that much. Tiger Cat. What's going on, Tiger Cat? Says, "Picking the spread." Was someone asking about parking? Honestly, in my opinion, the best place to park is right over there by the conference center on the Skeller School of Business side, on the other side of the overpass. I think it's E88. I could be wrong about that. Right off Spring Street. That's usually where I park. Which would you rather happen? Us beat Thug U or Kentucky beat Ugali? I would rather beat Miami. I mean, that's easy for me. I would much rather beat Miami. I got money on Tech making a bowl. So, anyways, Chris C says, y'all think Louisville wins have been fraud wins? I could see Notre Dame putting up a lot of points against them tomorrow. I don't think they've been fraud wins at all. One, that would mean I would be admitting them beating us was some kind of fraud or conspiracy, and I don't think so. I don't think so. So, also, I found a video that represented a lot of how I've been feeling lately in response to football. This guy here is sitting with his girlfriend. She's thinking she's in for a nice evening. And this dude had other plans. So, this is it.
If we get a touchdown, there's a chance. We need a touchdown. He's throwing it. It's an interception! Why? Why? No! It's over! No!
That big of a deal.
Freaking
How, Garrett? Gosh, Garrett, are you serious?
It's not my fault.
Seriously, just break the table.
It's not my
That was my grandma's table.
It's not my fault. They freaking suck
but
at
it's
everything.
your fault that you break the table.
Interception.
Garrett, that is not okay. Garrett, you seriously can't.
I love how he breaks. He literally puts a sound bar or fan or something through a table, and you can see the fear in this poor lady's eyes. No, that's not my girlfriend. I don't have a girlfriend. And she's like, why? And this is one of the greatest responses ever. It's not my fault. I didn't throw the interception. So the guy throws the thing through the table. Not my fault. And that's true. If you're a diehard college football fan, you can agree. It's not your fault if you break things. Oh, so that was not WreckTalk. No, I imagine I outweigh that guy by about 100 pounds, if I had to guess. So no, that is not me. Also, would you ever see me rooting for the Vikings? I don't think so. I don't think so. All right, let's look at some lines here. Face Zach with the $10 super chat. Appreciate it, my friend. Says final take after watching more Miami Texas A&M. We can win this game, but it will be a shootout victory. Haynes needs to have the best game of his career. Does Tech have more bullets in the chamber? Rex spends, John Burns says Rex spends too much time on YouTube to have a gal. That is true, by the way. I definitely wouldn't be doing this many live shows if I had some love interest. I'd be bumping fuzz. So, as far as what you said, Face Zach, and again, thanks for the super chat. Yeah, and this is what's kind of irritated me with some Miami fans is Tech has zero chance, which I hope their whole program feels that way. It's just not very likely. I put out a video today, like our linebackers, a lot of things that we've never seen happen this year. Yeah, bump and fuzz, B-Bean. You don't call it that? That's a guaranteed winning pickup line, by the way. If you got the hots for a girl and like you haven't really talked to her on that level yet, you just walk up there and say, "Hey, lady, you want to bump fuzz or not?" And it's either going to be she hits you in the face or you'll be bumping fuzz later. A lot of women are also YouTubers these days. I think you mean OnlyFans people. A lot of women on OnlyFans. Is that something I should look into? Like RecTalk or Georgia Tech themed OnlyFans? I think that could work. You're about to be a rambling wreck after you leave here. Yeah, maybe that I got that from I forget. I think the guy's name's Nick Hall Comedy. Anyways, I've been derailed again with my shenanigans. I told you when I was younger, Papa RecTalk once told me, He said, "Son, I'm tired of all the stupid." And I did not listen. To this day, I have not disengaged from the stupid. Looks like Oklahoma State, Kansas State in a pretty good game. I know Lou's streaming that on his channel. I also have this little thing, this little doodaddy here, where we can keep track. Number one, and I guess this is always a noon game. The Red River Shootout, which I guess is now the Red River Rivalry, to conform with 2023 standards. Georgia Tech odds to win are about 3,720 to 1. Maybe. I don't know. It's not, I know it's not likely to happen. So any fraction you give me of odds where the denominator is pretty large, I'm probably going to agree with. FaceZack with the $5 super chat says, I was watching Coach Coop final thoughts on the game, and he said it's laughable to compare Van Dyke and King. They are overlooking us so much. Now, I will say this. A lot of Miami fans annoy me, but there are two YouTubers that I would put in the S tier of content creators, and I'm not even close to that tier. I would put Jackpot in that tier, and I would put Coach Coop in that tier. I think Coach Coop is great. That being said, they don't watch a lot of Tech football, so I could see how they think that the comparison is laughable, and I see Slim in here. Oh, it's a Star Wars reference? Well, Slim, I'm going to this might make you madder than me saying that, like, Miami would get upset this weekend. Hot take, Star Wars is not that good. It's not that good. And I'm saying that as a nerd. I guess the original trilogy is okay. The second trilogy they did, I don't know why my microphone is automatically adjusting. I'm gonna have to look in the settings. The second trilogy is absolute dog water, and then the J.J. Abrams stuff is just the same thing as the original trilogy, pretty much. But yeah. Okay. David says, I'm worried about our 24 class dropping off. Yeah, I am too. CJ Jackson, I referenced it in the video today, has decommitted. Now, from what I'm hearing, that was not the most unlikely thing to happen. Slim says goodbye, unsubbed. I call it how I see it. I don't think Star Wars is that great. But you can't lose to Bowling Green and think that recruits are going to want to come be a part of that. I mean, you at least got to take care of those games. So, I mean, I don't necessarily blame them. Machete order only for Star Wars. I'm guessing that's 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. Is the newest trilogy included in that? Yeah, C-Dog did do a really good video about the decommit, where he was about as mad as I've seen him, even in the midst of all of it. Well, I guess the Bowling Green frustration was kind of wound in to that. But getting back to the Oklahoma-Texas, Texas is a 5-point favorite in this game. And here's the thing with rivalry games. Kind of conventional thinking and wisdom goes out the door with that. I would like to say Texas handles business and covers here. The third trilogy is on par with the original. Well, that would make sense since it's the exact same thing. Like the first movie they did, I guess that would be 7. That would be episode 7. Right, is the exact same film as the first Star Wars. So I don't really know why it needed to be made. C-Dog texts me. Over under is 60.5. Well, we can agree on that, Slim 789. Dog shite. We need to get Charlie Strong to coach the defense. He can really recruit. That's something I've mentioned. Like, if you're – I mentioned this, I think, on the last live show. If you're going to make a change mid-season at DC and not fire the guy that you demoted, you better be right. There better be some tangible improvement in your defense or you're going to look like a total turd. So I'm concerned about that. What do you guys think? Texas, Oklahoma. Texas will be home. I don't know much about Oklahoma. I mean, they're obviously much, much improved. I'd probably take Texas here. Face that with a $5 super chat. I agreed with most except for that. Haynes has thrown for 1,500 yards, 65%. Van Dyke has thrown for 1,075 on 75%. Other than QBR, they're very similar. And look, here's the thing with comparing quarterbacks. It's tough to compare quarterbacks from one team to the other. If you put Van Dyke on Tech's team and you put King on Miami, all else equal, what would you get the same or similar result? Probably. I don't know. FaceAct TVD has only played one full game. They aren't comparable. Yeah, and not only for that reason, I just think Miami is a lot more talented team. I mean, Van Dyke has a lot more weapons than as good as our offense or as improved as our offense is. You would have to admit the weapons that TVD has are superior to what we have on Tech's offense. Yeah. I'm going to take Texas in this. I'm going to take Texas. Where's Texas here? Let's pull Texas up. I'm going to pull Texas, but they won't cover. I think they win this game. I don't think that they cover. So there we go with that. Maryland at Ohio State. RecTalk, what's Tech's record in night games? I don't know, to be honest. Truth be told, until this year, we haven't played many night games because usually those primetime slots, like 8 p.m., are between two teams with better records than what Tech's had in the past. I imagine it's okay, though. I imagine our night game record is okay. Ohio State, a 19.5-point favorite over Maryland, over under 57. Maryland, I didn't even realize until I started looking at this, is undefeated. Now, they've got Tua's brother still there, right? And there was some rumblings, that he had been offered a few $1 million by some SEC schools, I think, which makes you think, what schools need quarterbacks? Alabama would be the first one that comes to mind. 19.5 points is a lot to cover, though, especially when you're facing an undefeated team. They are at home, and I do think Ohio State has a pretty good defense. Our ticket's as low as $38. I would think Ohio State wins, but I agree with B Bean. I would not pick them to cover 19.5. So I don't think Ohio State covers. Now, I don't know if TK's still in here. LSU at Missouri. And, LSU, disappointing team, I would think, if you're an LSU fan this year. But that's really only because of what they did last year. Last year they go and win the West. A lot of good things to say about Brian Kelly. They lose a close one to Florida State, or not a close one. They lose a close one to Ole Miss last week. Now, your other three wins are against, two SEC wins, one against Grambling State, Let's see here. It's a 5.5-point game. Over under 64. Truth is, I like what Missouri's doing this year. And I would probably pick Missouri here if LSU didn't have 2 losses. I just think LSU is going to I'm like, they're hungry for a win. They've got egg on their face. Brian Kelly's probably going to have this team prepared and ready to go. I think LSU wins. I think LSU covers. By how much, I'm not sure. But I think LSU covers. That'll be an interesting game, though. Another noon game on ESPN. No one cares about Boston College Army. Army's favorite. Maybe we do need to talk about this game. Boston College is an underdog, 2.5 points to Army. Now, the interesting thing with these service academies, does Army not run the triple option anymore? I feel like someone was complaining about them not running the triple option anymore. You have to work. Well, that stinks. You can, I don't know. Maybe you can have it on your phone, TK. Boston College. I'll pick this just because they're an ACC team. I think Boston College. I don't think Army covers. I mean, it's basically a coin toss. But I think Boston College wins that game. Where's Boston College on here? These are all the Power 5 schools. It's not in alphabetical order. There they are. I'm going to pick Boston College to win outright here. Face Zach with the $5 super chat. Calling out Slim Shady Canes, by the way. Oh, boy. Says, at Slim Shady Canes, they are way better. You put King on Miami this season, he plays just as good with more yards due to RAC, way better receivers. Yeah, and I don't know that means that Haynes King is a better quarterback or anything. I mean, when you have more weapons, you're probably going to do better at quarterback. I will say this. I don't think there's a massive, skill or talent differential between Tyler Van Dyke and Haynes King, though. I think people might be sleeping on Haynes a little bit that aren't Tech fans. Haynes King, first of all, no one thought you meant yards after catch. Yeah, I didn't want to look stupid and RAC be a thing, and I didn't know about it because I looked dumb enough without that being exposed. I do that well enough on my own. But, okay, yards after catch. You guys are saying BC. Yeah, I like BC against Army here. But, yeah, I don't think Haynes King is, some far inferior quarterback to Tyler Van Dyke. Slim, you tell me what you think. I don't think that's the case, though. No one thought Haynes King was going to be as good as he has been this year, though. I can say that. Them's facts. No one cares, Mississippi State. Wisconsin, Rutgers, who cares? There's not even a line on William and Mary at Virginia? I mean, usually that means that a team is favored. They're so much better that they don't even want to put a line on it. I don't think you could say that about Virginia playing anybody, though, right now. I mean, I know that they showed up and did all right against NC State, but that's interesting. Now, I do want to talk about Marshall at NC State. Why does it keep doing this? I don't understand. I don't understand why it keeps adjusting my volume. And it's not doing it on StreamYard. It's doing it at a hardware level. I don't know. Maybe if I stay further back. Or maybe if I do this. Okay, I think maybe that'll work. I'm sorry. David asking about the state of the fan base. We'll talk about that. Marshall at NC State. Now, if you don't know, our linebackers coach from last year, Coach Seymour, nicknamed Coach Boogie, is the DC at Marshall right now. Let's take a look at Marshall, how many points they're giving up. Not many. So they're pretty good on defense. I think they're around 30th in the country on defense. I think, is Marshall favored in this game? No, NC State by 6.5. It's in NC State. NC State struggled. Who has NC State lost to other than Louisville? Notre Dame. This is a tough one, man. Because they do have 2 losses, but they're both to pretty good teams. Is Louisville not ranked? I thought Louisville was ranked 25th. And I don't think UConn is that bad of a team either. I think NC State wins this in a close one. So I think NC State wins this. I don't think they cover 6.5. I think they win by a field goal. That's what I think. All right. Washington State at UCLA. They put 21 on Notre Dame. Yeah, now I will say this about Marshall, NC State. It would also not surprise me if Marshall won that outright. I think Marshall's a pretty good team. They're undefeated for a reason. The worst thing about this game is that it's played on the CW network. And I never thought, after watching Tech so many times on Bally Sports Media, that I would think a network was worse than Bally Sports, but CW is just awful. Once you've been relegated to being televised them for a week, you'll hope you play better and you're on ABC or ESPN or ACC network. Now, Washington State at UCLA. I'm kind of surprised that UCLA is favored by 3.5 here. It's like the over-under is 59.5. It's going to be a 3 p.m. game. You're right. Marshall is on the road. NC State, I just never know what to think about. NC State is normally a dark horse. Like, for the past 2 or 3 years, they've been like a dark horse ACC team, and they almost always underperform that by a good margin. I'm going to be honest, I don't know much about Washington State or UCLA other than what I saw of Washington State last week. I'm going to say give me Washington State outright in that game. Where's Washington State? What are they, the Bearcats? I think they went outright. Give me the Bearcats. Now, another ACC matchup, 3:30 on ABC. Florida State, or Virginia Tech at Florida State. Now, Virginia Tech is one of the worst teams in the ACC. If you were to come up with a bottom 4 for the ACC, right now, unfortunately, you'd put Georgia Tech in that, but Virginia, Boston College, Virginia Tech. 24 points, again, I just think is a lot to cover. But Virginia Tech's been awful. Let me look at what Virginia Tech's done this year. So they beat Old Dominion, which is something they weren't able to do last year. They've lost to Purdue, who is not very good. They've lost to Rutgers. They've lost to Marshall. They did beat Pitt, but Pitt is also really down. You know what? I give me Florida State to cover here. I think Florida State has a big day against Virginia Tech. Though it does look like Virginia Tech's defense is okay. But I'm not changing. Give me Florida State to cover. All right, Alabama at Texas A&M. Now, Texas A&M is another team I don't really know what to think about. They've lost their starting quarterback, and a quarterback that's pretty good. He had a pretty good showing against Miami. In fact, their only loss is to Miami. But they haven't really, other than Auburn, or not Auburn, but Arkansas. You know, they haven't gotten to the meat of their schedule yet. What's Alabama favored by? So this is a toss-up. Coin toss game, Alabama on the road. So we're basically not picking the spread at this point. We're picking, unless someone wins by a safety, which would be a push. They don't think a lot of points are going to be scored either, which makes sense. Alabama struggled on offense. Alabama's still trying to find their offensive identity. They have, what, is Milrose, or not Milrose? Is that his name? Anyways, they got a quarterback that's young. I don't know with this game. Texas A&M has been kind of in this fragile state with their backs against the wall. Oh, man, I don't know. B-Bean says Bama wins. Just because A&M's quarterback is out and Alabama's defense is a lot better. I mean, Alabama's problem isn't. Is it Jalen Milroe? Is that Alabama's quarterback? Yeah, give me Alabama. Give me Alabama. Where's Bama at on here? There they are. They'll cover. They'll cover 2 points. Win outright is for an underdog. Syracuse at North Carolina. North Carolina will come into this game undefeated. Syracuse only loss coming to Clemson last week. The thing with Syracuse is they tend to fall apart in November. Let's look at North Carolina. Has North Carolina really played anyone of note? I know that they opened up and beat South Carolina. Minnesota's probably a pretty good win. Pitt, no. 9.5 points, so they need to win by a touchdown and a field goal or 2 touchdowns. I'd say North Carolina covers that. Give me the Tar Heels to cover. Where's North Carolina? There they are. I'll take the Tar Heels to cover there. TVD is more skilled and experienced. Well, I mean, we're going to see tomorrow. And by the way, Slim, I would like to know if you're at all worried about, I don't know if you've heard of the curse of the ghost uniforms. The uniforms that you're wearing, we wore a variant of against Bowling Green. They also glowed in the dark. Don't ask me why we wore them at 3:30. But those uniforms are cursed, and I think that could play into Tech's favor. I don't really care about Purdue and Iowa. Clemson or Wake Forest at Clemson. I think this is another game that could be dangerous for Clemson. Spoiler alert, I don't think they cover 21 points against Wake. And I'm not just saying that because we beat Wake or anything. It's just that Clemson has got some issues, and I think 21 points is too many to cover. Give me Wake. Clemson's not covering here. Will not cover. I obviously think Clemson will beat Wake. I don't think they cover 21 points, though. Does South Carolina win the off week? That's a good question. I'll have to get back to you on that. What else do we have? I only have Power 5 teams, but Bowling Green at Miami. They'll probably lose to Miami, truth be told. Now, I did want to talk about Vanderbilt at Florida. Now, I know Vanderbilt has not been great, In fact, they're not even good. They've lost to Wake, they've lost to UNLV, they've lost to Kentucky, they've lost to Missouri. But I think that Florida is god-awful. What's going on, Simona? Good to have you in here. How Florida is an 18.5-point favorite over any team is curious to me. I think they beat Vanderbilt. I don't think there's any way in hell they cover 18.5 against them, though. I don't think Florida covers. I got a lot of teams not covering this week. That's why I never take my advice on any of this. The swamp destroys dreams. Only if you're playing Tennessee, evidently. Yeah, ask Tennessee. You're absolutely right about that. Central Florida at Kansas? Central Florida is favored? Is there something I don't know about this? Vandy is so bad it's hard to believe. Yeah, but when you have two bad teams playing one another, 18.5 points doesn't make much sense to me. I mean, can you guys tell me in the chat, is there something I don't know about Gus Malzahn in Central Florida? Like, who's Kansas's lost to? Kansas has only lost to Texas. They beat BYU, which is a decent team. And then they beat Illinois, I don't know anything about. I mean, Central Florida's coming in here toting 2 losses to Baylor, who got upset horribly in week 1, and then Kansas State, who's showing out pretty well tonight. I mean, this isn't even a question to me. Kansas wins outright. Like, I would even think that Kansas would cover like 10 points. USC head coach. So Gus Malzahn's that good? Oh, did Central Florida... Okay. They blew a huge lead. That makes sense. I'll be honest, I don't understand that line at all. I don't get it. Malzahn paid bookies. Does Malzahn have points? Has Malzahn bet on this game? Oh, boy. All right. Colorado at Arizona State. So Arizona State played USC pretty tough for a while there. In fact, USC's had a pretty tough schedule up to this point. Doesn't look good that they lost to Cal. I don't think Cal's a very good team. And, man, they struggle with whoever SUU is. Who is SUU? Southern Utah? I didn't even know Southern Utah existed. I'm going to be honest, though. Nah, well, I mean, it does say something that Colorado is only a 3.5-point favorite. No, Vegas 100% knows more than I do. In fact, I'll go back and look at Monday at this live stream. I want to say Arizona State wins outright, honestly, but I don't think I can do that. Give me Colorado to cover here. Give me Colorado to cover. Well, and it's not, here's the thing, Slim, it's not just that Vegas knows more. I mean, that's true as well, but it's rigged from the outset. Like I've said this before, if you calculate the odds of covering versus not covering, it comes like 104%. 4% is called the VIG. That's Vegas's take no matter what happens. So they're gonna make 4% on all these bets no matter what happens. So if you're gonna be an advantage better, you got to win basically 50 plus 4%. Believe in Prime. What's going on, Mike? Popcorn Porter. What's going on, buddy? Yeah, I guess I've kind of been a Prime detractor. Coach Prime detractor, and I've been wrong, so I'll take Colorado here. They are on the road, but Arizona State struggled. All right, Kentucky the battle of the undefeateds in the East. 5-0 Kentucky coming to Sanford Stadium against undefeated Georgia. Georgia's a 14.5-point favorite here. Now, they don't think this is going to be that high scoring of a game either. And I'm not saying anything that Georgia fans won't say. Georgia's offense has been very hit or miss this year. Carson Beck's really struggled to come into his own, though they did. They struggled against Auburn. The thing with Georgia is their defense is really good. And y'all are saying Kentucky. How many times has Georgia not covered this year, by the way? Sanford Stadium, not Santford Stadium. Well, I've never cared enough to know what the name of that cesspool in Athens is called, to be honest with you. Though I've been there 4 or 5 times. SEC has been hit or miss. That's true, and that's why I don't know if you guys remember Mayhem coming in here and trying to say the SEC was some world beater. Look, the SEC is not even the second best conference this year. First best conference is the Pac-12. Then you can say the ACC or Big Ten probably. I know it's going to make a lot of people mad. So UGA is yet to cover. This is going to make a lot of people mad. But I really do think Georgia covers. I think Georgia covers Tennessee or Kentucky. Clip it now. So, never say I never gave them anything. Week 5 of last year was an away game. 23.5-point favorite Pitt team. Do I smell an upset against 20.5-point favorite Miami? I do think 20.5 points is a lot to cover for Miami, but Georgia. I can't really say anything when what happened last week happened. So Tech is going to have to show me something. Mike says, I think Georgia will wake up like they did against Tennessee last year. Yeah, I guess because, in fact, it wouldn't surprise me if between now and kickoff at 7, this line moves to like 17.5. I think a lot of people are taking Kentucky here. All right. Again, I don't know a lot about Big Ten teams. Michigan at Minnesota. Michigan is getting 18.5 points. Michigan undefeated, but Michigan probably in the running for like the most consistent team in the country. 30-3, 35-7, 31-6. Man, they managed to beat Bowling Green. Rutgers 31-7 and Nebraska 45-7. You know what? I don't know a lot about Minnesota. So they've lost to North Carolina. They've lost to Northwestern, which don't even... By the way, I haven't said anything about it, and I purposefully didn't say anything about, speaking of weird sexual stuff, I guess, about the Mel Tucker thing, but I guess Mel Tucker released some text messages between this girl who's accusing him of wrongdoing, and Damon Stoudemeier's name came up. And from what the texts show, now if you don't know, Damon Stoudemeyer is our basketball coach that we literally just hired. And from what the text shows, she was in a relationship with him. And that's if I'm assuming these texts are accurate. Now, I went and searched Damon Stoudemeyer, and like the first thing that came up, which is what I was looking for, was, is he married? And Damon Stoudemeyer is married. So I would think Georgia Tech is going to have to make some kind of statement about that. This is absolutely the last thing in the world you want your school to be mentioned in whatsoever. Yeah, she was in a relationship with Mel Tucker, ? I don't know. If you're a part of my Discord, someone posted what was released, or you can just search like Mel Tucker investigation. He released like phone records. Okay, let me clarify. I'll back up. So I really didn't want to get into the details of this. Obviously, Mel Tucker was just released, fired, whatever you want to call it, for cause. Now, he was owed $70 million on his contract. If you fire a coach for cause, you do not owe his buyout. All right, so make of that what you will. This girl, I think her name's Tracy, is someone who is a sexual assault survivor, who now works to educate people about that subject. And she'll talk to teams. She'll be contracted to talk to teams about that. Evidently, Mel Tucker was on the phone with her and said, hey, do you mind, how do I say this nicely? Do you mind if I pleasure myself while you talk? That's why he's getting fired. Now, in the text messages that have been released, she mentions Damon Stoudemire, Georgia Tech's basketball coach. I mean, I guess let me just, because this is so sensitive, I don't want to butcher what was said. Let me go back up here. All right, I have it in front of me. So Tracy, in a text message to her friend, says, Miss Alvarado, she says, I haven't even heard from Damon since Monday. So I assume she's talking about Damon Stoudemire, Georgia Tech's basketball coach. Alvarado says he'll pop up. Tracy says, for sure, he's not going anywhere, LOL. He was supposed to find time to see me before the 20th. Coach Tucker told me he loved me last night. It wasn't weird, though. He made sure I knew it was about being a friend. So I don't really have any idea what that means. I'm not in the habit of telling women I love them in a friendship kind of way. Her friend responds, in other news, LOL, Coach Tucker isn't going anywhere either. Miss Tracy says, definitely not, LOL. He went to some retreat for his birthday, came back all zen. He's one of those in another life, ... I guess they talked about trauma, and he said he thought about me and how amazing it is that I can speak about mine. He said, I'm a brilliant human being and too special for this world. Damon, again, now we're talking about Georgia Tech's basketball coach. Damon is so cute in his tight shirt and pants, LOL. I like seeing him on TV with a smiley face emoji. So the implication is that she was in some sort of relationship with Georgia Tech's basketball coach. What looks bad about that is he was married at the time. So I'm not going to speculate or draw any conclusion about what any of that is, but thems are the facts, right? So again, I assume that probably as we speak or at some point today, Georgia Tech administration, PR scramble together. I would think that they're going to probably prepare a statement. Yeah, Mel Tucker's married too. And that's the other thing I thought. Damon has probably had a very uncomfortable conversation with his wife. Now, I will say that's what kind of frustrates me. Like, if you want to go run around, be with a bunch of women, whatever, but don't be married. Smart women know the difference between a friendship, I love you, and a romantic one. Yeah, I think just for me, a lot of confusion can be avoided by using that phrase for one purpose. That's just me. Or maybe I'm not a smart guy. That's completely, I mean, there's a reason I'm single, right? Anyways, I didn't want to get into that. I shouldn't have mentioned it. But I think Michigan covering 18.5 points against Minnesota. Give me Michigan not to cover. How about that seamless segue from an absolutely not fun subject? Where's Michigan on here? Where is Michigan? There they are. I don't think Michigan covers 18.5. There. Listen to the hot coffee. I don't know. Andrew Tate says alphas do not cheat. They are just exercising options. Well, Andrew Tate was in like a Turkish prison for a while, so I don't know that I would listen to what Andrew Tate has to say. No, you didn't mess me up. Like, there's a reason that I have purposefully not brought that topic up, because I feel like it's kind of a no-win. Like, if you take any stance either way, then half the people in the country are mad at you. So I have no opinion on that. I hope justice is served, whatever that looks like. All right, Arkansas at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a 13-point favorite in this game. It's supposed to be a relatively high-scoring game, 61.5 over under. I'm tempted to say Arkansas wins this game outright. Ole Miss is kind of a schizophrenic team. They're a little bit inconsistent. Slim says, I don't care about making people mad. I'm gonna be honest with you. I know a lot of y'all are saying Ole Miss is gonna cover. I see Ole Miss is gonna take them to the woodshed. I don't think Ole Miss covers. I don't think they cover. How many points was it again? 13. I think they struggle with Arkansas. In fact, I think Arkansas's record doesn't really reflect the kind of team they are. And maybe it's because I'm kind of a Sam Pittman fan. I really like Sam Pittman. I don't think Ole Miss covers. Where's Ole Miss? Donde está Ole Miss? There they are. Bama has been struggling. Bama has been struggling. And really, it's just their offense. It's tough. I can't even accredit all of, and Simone, you would know more about Alabama's team than me, but I can't just accredit their offensive issues to quarterback. I think they got they've had trouble protecting, right? They've had trouble on their offensive line as well. T4, you like the hat? I think I got it from the ACC store. I actually won trivia night on Traveling Fools channel, and I got like a $25 gift card or something. Jalen Milroe, that's his name. Now, I will say this, Simona. How they didn't know, or it wasn't 100% clear that he was the best quarterback on their roster, I can't figure. He was Christian's roommate. Jalen Milroe was. Okay. Yeah, I mean, he's obviously the best quarterback that they have. Tyler Buckner looked awful for them. I'm trying to think of the other guy that came in. Bama has quarterback, O-line, and wide receiver issues and running back. I agree with all of that except the last thing, Slim. I don't think they have running back issues. I could be wrong, or maybe it's just that running back is the best position group I think they have on their offense, so it doesn't seem like they have a running back issue. But, yeah, Alabama's got more problems than just quarterback. B-Bean changes his mind. He now agrees with me. And that's what we need to hear. Be yes men to me. Build my ego. When I moved into this place, they had to widen the door into my apartment to fit my head through that contains my ego. All right. Now here's one of the primetime games, a game that I hate that Tech is playing at 8 o'clock because I'd like to give all my attention to this Notre Dame Louisville game. Notre Dame's a 6.5-point favorite. And I think Louisville is a good team. In fact, I think they should be ranked better than 25th in the country, especially being undefeated. I know they struggled against NC State last week, but we talk about Friday night underdogs at home performing well. It's tough to be a favorite going on the road on a Friday night. So I don't think that necessarily means that Louisville's taken some step back to this point in the season. I'll say it this way. I think pure talent and having things together, Louisville will be the second most talented team that we faced after we play Miami. In fact, I think talent-wise and just the raw speed, Louisville is far more akin to Miami than the other teams we've played. Notre Dame, they have Sam Hartman. Let me look at who they beat this year. They beat the brakes off of Navy, whoever team, I guess that's Tennessee State. I don't know. So they've beaten everyone pretty well. Duke is a decent team, a better than decent team. Duke's a good team. Lose a close one to Ohio State. I'm pretty torn on this one. Now, it's in Louisville, so I do think that means something. The Louisville fan base is as high as they can be right now. It's going to be a rowdy environment for Notre Dame. This is where I make the bold pick here. I think Louisville wins this game outright at home. I don't even need the points. Give me the money line bet on Louisville. Give me them teethed birds to win outright this week. Which I guess I haven't been going the other end of these, but I do hate Notre Dame. So put them in the upset loss. I talked about how garbage South Bend, Indiana is. I don't have anything nice to say about Notre Dame. Let me go back up through the chat here. Slim says that's exactly right. Running back is their best position, and it's worse than they had last year. Is that true? I didn't watch a lot of Alabama last year. Yes, Rec, you're a very arrogant, condescending person. A lot of people feel that way. At least Vanderbilt has a chance to win tomorrow, unlike Tech. It's hilarious to me that the only Vanderbilt fan anyone's ever seen, Vanderbilt fans are kind of like unicorns, Some people are Sasquatch. Some people swear Sasquatch exists, but you've never seen Sasquatch. You just get a blurry picture. Maybe Bigfoot is just blurry, though. Who knows? But it's hilarious that a Vanderbilt fan would come in here and try and trash talk me. The only thing that people are scared of when they go to Nashville to play a football game, it's not the football team. It's dying from the construction around your stadium. Bama was good last year. I'm trying to remember. I have a short memory with college football. I kind of have to at this point. But yeah, give me Louisville outright there. Bama had Gibbs last year. That's true. And Gibbs might have been Gibbs was one of the better players on their team. Vandy is going to upset Georgia next week. Is that one of their road games? All right, here we go. Georgia Tech goes on the road to Coral Gables, number 17 Miami. Now, we talked about it at the beginning of the show. And imagine losing to Bowling Green. Well, I don't have to imagine it. That's kind of the reality I'm in. Dumbo Fisher likes to pick his nose. Did he get caught picking his nose or something? It's ironic when Vandy fans show up to games. 20 points. This line's moved, I think, from 16 or 16 and a half up to 20. I said when the line came out, I would have probably set it at 21 and a half. Yeah, I said Gibbs was one of their better players, like on the whole team. Yeah, Gibbs was a beast. Now, I do think we're going to see well, let me say it this way. I don't think you're going to see the same Georgia Tech team you saw last week. I could be wrong, but I really don't. I think practice this week was probably absolute hell, and that's kind of been echoed from the press conferences where, one, they said a lot more good on good. And one thing I like to hear is like, hey, let's put number one offense against number one defense. Whatever series you want. If the offense scores, they get to go home. Defense has to run. And vice versa. So I do think Tech is not going to come out here and lay an egg. Now, saying Tech's going to win is another thing. And Slim might troll me in the chat. I think Miami probably wins this game. I mean, here's the thing. When you make a mid-season or quarter of the season defensive coordinator change, you're going to have a hard time convincing me that's not going to have some kind of negative effect on your team. But I will say this. I do not think Miami covers 20 points. So put Miami in the will not cover. I should have just trolled all the way and put Miami in the upset loss. Tech pulls the upset. I've got the hope. I'll come on and troll you too. Well, I mean, it'll be due, right? Many people have trolled Rec. I just think Georgia Tech. What this game comes down to is what kind of Georgia Tech defense is going to show up. If Georgia Tech were to win this game, or if this game were a one-score game when all is said and done, then it won't be most likely because Georgia Tech's defense just played out of their mind. And I agree with Simone. I think we will fight. I don't think this team's just going to roll over for the rest of the season. I think too much of these players, and there's been a lot of talk of like, these players don't have heart. They just don't want to win and this kind of thing. And I just don't agree with that. Now, I've been fairly critical of like some things Paul Mola said in press conferences because I just kind of don't compute. I mean, he kind of came out and said they weren't giving effort, but then Brooks came in later in the same interview and said that doesn't really represent how he feels. Here's what I think we got to realize as fans, right? I'm a fat white guy on YouTube that doesn't do anything remotely athletic at any point during the week. So it's kind of hard for me, or I think it's kind of disrespectful for me to then point to these like pinnacles of athleticism and say that they just don't want it, you know. I just don't believe that. So I do think Tech comes out and at least prevents Miami from covering, and I absolutely agree with Simona. I think they come out and fight. Fat white guy on YouTube, that's what I am. I'm 250 pounds, man. Like, is that not fat? What do you mean WTF? I don't know what to tell you. I said it about myself, though. So I didn't call you that. I mean, are we to a point now where I can't even, like, acknowledge that I'm overweight? Is there any other games worth picking here? Oregon, I'll pick the last two. Can you say fat white guy on YouTube? I don't know. There's a lot of things you can't say on YouTube, but I think I can at least identify what I am. Maybe next year I'll be a not fat white guy. I don't know. I'm trying to lose weight. Yeah, I'm getting fat shamed. I'm getting fat shamed here. Leave who alone, Simona? Are you saying Mola? Did I mess up? Who leave who alone? Oregon State at California. Oregon State's a 7.5-point favorite. I mean, this I don't even have to think about. Oregon State will beat the brakes off of Cal. Cal is not a good football team. Arizona at USC. USC a 21-point favorite. I don't know much about Arizona. Cal by 50. No way. I don't think, has Cal collectively scored 50 points this year? Yeah, they did it in week 1. I'm just thinking of this 14-10. 20 again, I mean, I always get scared away from big lines, like 21-point lines. Don't know much about Arizona. So they've lost to Mississippi State, who's not all that good. USC by 500. We're just going to play the biggest number game of Google, Graham's number. I think USC covers, though. Give me USC to cover 21 at home against Arizona. Where's USC on here? Where is USC? There they are. Some of these are cut off, so it's hard for me to tell. USC will give up and score 50 and give up 45 or 55, so Slim doesn't seem to think that they'll cover. Well, that's what I got. We'll see. I mean, I probably got every single one wrong, but that wouldn't be any. That would be kind of, you know, par for the course. Looks like Oklahoma State starting to pull away from Kansas State. You know what? We'll open up StreamYard. If you want to come in, talk about some of these picks. We can do that for sure. We can absolutely do that. Or if there's anything else college football related you want to talk about, I'm sure Slim has something to say about saying Miami's not going to cover. And I'd be, you know, Slim is kind of hit or miss with Miami. He doesn't always he's been kind of in the past one of the few Miami detractors. So be interesting to see if he thinks they'll cover. What's going on, Slim?
All right, listen, I know Zach.
Oh, hold on a second. Go ahead. Sorry, I couldn't hear you before.
I said I know Zach is trying to take up for Haynes King and all he can. And I'm not saying Haynes King is bad, but if you look at the totality of what both of them have put on the field over multiple years, Haynes King does not stack up to TVD in any way, shape, form, or fashion.
Well, I don't think that's true. In any way, shape, form, or fashion?
That's absolutely true. Haynes King got benched at A&M last year for a reason.
Oh, so are you playing last year Haynes King or this year Haynes King?
I said what both of them have done in the totality of their careers.
So, and
it's irrefutable that TVD has got him in experience by a long shot.
We're in hypothetical world here, but when you're comparing quarterbacks, you kind of have to get into hypothetical world because they don't both play for the same team. If TVD and Haynes King switched teams, what do you think that would look like? Would TVD ball out at Tech and Haynes struggle at Miami, or like how would you think that would go?
I'm not necessarily saying Haynes would struggle, but Haynes King had more talent than even Miami has last year and was god awful.
Right, but he's not the same quarterback he was last year. I guess I'm kind of confused as to why you keep trying to push last year's Haynes King to compare against TVD.
Because you cannot compare Haynes King to TVD playing 3 garbage can schools.
Well, let's just
That's
set
the only
stats
time
aside.
Haynes King has looked good.
Oh,
Even take last year. Van Dyke was still 70% completion for over 1,000 yards before he got injured.
well, Haynes King, I mean, if we're going to go to last year's injuries, Haynes King has been injured most of his career.
No, Haynes King got benched, sir. He got benched because he was playing god awful.
Yeah, but don't you think the kind of quarterback you are today is the composite of all of that quarterback's experiences?
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
And but my point to Zach earlier, and it's the same point I'm making now. Look at what both of them have put on film, and Haynes King does not hold a candle to Tyler Van Dyke.
So I don't agree with that, but let me try and get more precise. Grade Haynes King on a scale of 0 to 100, and grade Tyler Van Dyke 0 to 100. So I can just get a sense of how much better you think TVD is.
Well, I would agree with Pro Football Focus's grade of him, with a 94, 95 overall QBR. I mean, that's a good metric for that.
So TVD's a 94, 95 out of 100.
Yeah, he's got the highest QBR in the nation.
Okay, now Haynes King.
I'd have to see where he is on the list.
What his QBR is?
I would imagine he's not going to be far behind him. Now, granted, when I say not far, I mean he's not within 5 spots of him, but I don't think he's
66.2.
20 spots from him either.
No, Haynes King's
wow,
66.2.
I would have thought better.
Well, that changed a lot.
It was better.
That changed a lot last week with a pick 6 and another pick.
Right.
And look, I mean, that's part of his playing experience. I don't think that 66 really represents the kind of how good of a quarterback he is. I might agree with you. I'd probably put TVD.
Let's not forget. Let's not forget when TVD got put in 21. He started breaking Jameis Winston ACC records. That's how good he's played since he's been put. He's never been benched, and that's going to be part of Haynes King's resume as long as he's in college. That
what about Joe Burrow?
On the bench.
Was Joe Burrow a bad quarterback because he wasn't starting at Ohio State, which means he was benched?
He never played at Ohio State.
Right, because they didn't play him.
Yeah, like he came in, sat his first year, and then transferred to LSU.
So was he not good? Did they play him because he wasn't good? Does that represent the quarterback he is?
They had a quarterback. You can't compare somebody that didn't see the field versus somebody who saw the field and then saw the bench. Like Joe Burrow just didn't want to wait his turn. That's all that was.
Yeah, I just think it's odd. I mean, I think would you agree that Haynes King is a better quarterback now than you thought he was before the season started?
I just told you I thought his QBR would have been higher than that.
Right. So I would give TV probably about a 91, 92 out of 100, and I would give Haynes King like an 86 or an 87. And the point being, I just don't – it seems like a lot of Miami fans, and you included, think that Tyler Van Dyke is like 2 letter grades better than Haynes King as a quarterback.
I'd say at least a full letter grade better.
Well, then, I mean, we're not super far off, I guess.
Yeah, I think y'all are also misconstruing what I'm saying as well. Like, I'm not saying Haynes King is garbage. he's definitely looked better at Georgia Tech than he did at A&M. That goes without question.
Yeah, it looks way better at Georgia Tech.
Yeah, and I've said that.
Now,
But
okay.
when you look at, once again, I'm taking in the totality of Haynes King, so I'm taking in the totality of Tyler Van Dyke as well. And Tyler Van Dyke has looked superior since he got put on the field, up until he got hurt, behind that O-line last year.
I kind of see what you're saying. I guess when I'm judging the two quarterbacks, I'm really just looking at this season. But yeah, I mean that's fair what you're saying. Now, I didn't pick you to cover 20 points. What do you think Miami covers 20 on Tech and Coral Gables?
I do.
Okay.
I don't think there's a thing that your defense can do to stop us.
Now, I think that's fair. Our Georgia Tech's defense is, at this point, and I'm not like crapping on any one particular guy, but it's been one of the worst in the country.
And Miami's defense, missing 3 starters, well, actually missing 4 starters on offense, is top 15 in the nation.
You do
They get
have a very
3
good
of them
defense.
back to Saturday night.
Yeah, and when I looked at y'all play, I watched the full A&M game. Very aggressive defense. I don't know how many sacks you're averaging a game. I would guess about 4, though. You tend.
I think that's about right. Yeah.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I'd say it's about 4. So, like I said in the video earlier today, I mean, Tech would have to do things on defense we haven't seen them do all year, in conjunction with making a change at DC. But I do think we're going to see some things we probably hadn't seen all year, more akin to Wake Forest. And I'm not saying we sack y'all 8 times by any means. I think there was a lot of ass chewing this week, and again, I think you win. I think Tech puts up a pretty good fight, though. And I've said in the past, it probably ends up a little more like the Ole Miss game. I do think we hang with y'all a pretty good bit through the first half, and then probably toward the mid of the third quarter, y'all the depth starts showing itself.
And it may even be a little sooner than that.
Yeah.
Because don't get me wrong, I still have questions about Miami myself. I think you're right. The offensive line has played way beyond what I expected. They've given up 2 sacks, and one of them was Van Dyke, and the other one was the true freshman just held on to the ball too long in garbage time. That's whatever.
Yeah, I don't
wasn't
count that.
The starters. Yeah, that also wasn't the starting offensive line either. So the starting offensive line has given up 1 sack.
Mike Jones says, I don't know how you know Key got serious this week. I don't know. That's why I said I think.
I don't think that's your problem. Key can get as serious as he wants. It's whether or not the players get serious.
No, that's true. That's true. A lot of people in the Tech fan base have said that they don't necessarily lay this on Key, but and look, I'm a Georgia Tech homer, so I'm going to tend to think better of them than most. But.
Here's where I'll disagree with that, because if the players aren't taking it serious, that falls on the head coach at the end of the day.
What about Texas last year?
Well, it's just a simple rule. The buck stops with the head coach. It is what it is.
Yeah, but I think you do have to give the guy some time to set how he wants it going. That's why I brought up Sarkisian, because it seemed like they got some people out of there and brought some people in. And
I said that last time we were talking about this. That very, very well may be what he has to do. I'm in no way saying that anybody should be gotten rid of.
Yeah, but I see what you're saying, too. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, and Key has taken responsibility, said, no, it absolutely lies with me. And then my only thing was, well, you can't just keep saying that every week, though, and not produce results. So we can't embarrass ourselves this week, in other words. And then just come out in the press conference and be like, well, that was my fault again.
Well, I don't think you can really take what's probably going to be the final score of this game and hold it against him either, because Miami's a far superior talented team than Georgia Tech as well.
Yeah, no, I'll agree with that. Face Zach, your nemesis says with the $5 super chat, Haynes passed the ball 392 times for 3,059 yards. So this is through the totality of his career. Van Dyke has thrown 678 times for 5,817 yards. Give King all those pass attempts, good receivers, he's up there. Simona says it's not going to happen overnight. It's not, no. It's not going to happen overnight. And Slim is really the biggest proponent of that. And here's the thing is, like, we talk about fan as short for fanatic, and we want things to happen right now. And we don't. Yep. Fans are probably the most impatient group of people you'll ever find. That's why, like, people have gotten pissed off at me. I'm like, man, I hope that these people that just think everyone should be fired at the first hint of something's a little off, I hope they're judged similarly in their career. And then and then someone comes on the internet and absolutely takes a dump on them, like, oh, but they get paid all this money. Well, yeah, but I mean, dude, they have families and stuff too. I mean, like, I don't. Yeah, they do make a lot of money, which means it's fair to criticize them, but the solution isn't fire everyone, take all the scholarships. Someone said that
too. Look at Texas, look at Miami, look at Tennessee, look at Texas, Miami, and Florida. It's all the same thing. To Basak's point, if you pay attention to what I say, Miami's receiving core has been dog shit for years.
Oh,
so
I think
let's not act. Let's not act like that Miami's had this great receiving core. Okay, they've led the country in drop passes from what 2019 pretty much through 2022.
Let me see what pass per attempt that is. So 7.8 for Haynes, and then divided by 678 for Van Dyke. He's got 8.5 yards an attempt, so nearly a full yard more per attempt over his career. Fazak also says with the $5 super chat, and for King getting benched, he had a season-ending leg injury that cost him experience. You can't blame him on that. So maybe a good point. I mean, it is kind of tough to come back from a severe injury like that. Do you give him anything for that? Does that factor in at all for you?
Just as much as I give Van Dyke for his injury last year.
Now, remind me what Van Dyke's injury was.
Shoulder injury.
Okay.
He one of the many sacks given up. He got dumped right on his shoulder, and they actually put him back out there, and he re-injured it.
Yeah. Simona says impatient and critical, and that's why, like, and I've obviously messed up in the past, but I try and be critical. I never try and be critical of, like, a particular person from the standpoint of I really don't like the whole they just don't want it, they don't have heart, and, like, there's no way I could know all that. I just kind of assume that if you're a Division I athlete, I mean, you're there to do the best you can.
Well, and I said this about Miami, about the Middle Tennessee game last year, and I think this is applicable to the Bowling Green game. That really just is give a damn. If you bother to do anything but sleepwalk through that game, you should easily beat Bowling Green. Same thing for Miami and Middle Tennessee last year.
Well, that's where I kind of agree with Sea-Dog. I don't know if it's give a damn necessarily, but I do think when you've come off the heels of the season Tech has, and you kind of have this monkey on your shoulder of trying to take care of business and establish a winning culture, I do think mentally in the back of your head that can kind of mess with you on the field.
Well, and this is something else that you've heard me say about Miami, I know, because I just recently said it. And I think, once again, is applicable for Georgia Tech. considering where Miami was last year, where Tech was last year and the year before, what business do they have thinking that they can overlook anybody?
No, that's 100% true. Yeah. And again, I can't speak to what's in the head of these kids. Lord knows I do well enough to exist in my own messed up head. but yeah. I see Mike Jones says, speaking of injury, Leo Blackburn is getting close, and that would be huge. Now, if Leo was playing in this game, and we already have, I mean, our best position group is probably wide receiver. If I had to pick, I kind of don't count quarterback in that because it's just one guy. I know you don't watch a lot of Tech football, but Leo is a stud. So that would be huge. And I've even said, and I think some Miami fans took it the wrong way, and we eventually came kind of to an agreement. Would you say your weakest position group on defense has been? I know you got a guy coming back. Has been your secondary? Or let me phrase it another way: the best matchup.
I may put linebackers as a little bit weaker.
Now I've heard that too, and tell me about your linebacker play because I've seen a lot of Miami fans very suspect on your linebacker play.
Well, I was suspect of him coming into the year, and it's not for lack of talent, star power, whatever you want to call it. Guys just haven't played up to that billing so far, for the most part.
I mean, are you
now
having trouble
they're
filling
kind of
gaps or something? What's the issue?
No. Well, you remember Miami had those three linebackers that started as true freshmen, Shaq, Pinckney, and Quarterman, and they played for 4 years, all three of them together. And it's just like ever since then, like the guys behind them, one of them was out back-to-back years with knee injuries, 1 year right after another. Another one was battling through other injuries. It seemed like one after another. And like I said, guys just, like there was one or two, okay, we just whiffed on. Like he was highly rated. He didn't turn out to be as good as his billing.
Okay.
But they've been a surprise compared to what I thought they were going to be.
Okay.
They have played better. And some of that's got to do with the transfer. Because we got that 5-star offensive lineman, Mawanoa, who's starting on the O-line. Well, his older brother, who's a linebacker, transferred from Washington State and is playing very well, actually.
Face Act with a $2 super chat says, Coop said it. Georgia Tech edge is our pass game versus their D. And I'm guessing you mean their defensive backfield. Yeah, and I'm not saying your defensive backfield is bad at all. I do think that's our best matchup if we're going to do something Saturday, though. I don't think we're going to run on you.
And I mean, that's fine. That's Coop's opinion. That's not my opinion. I think our secondary actually plays really well. Like, and this is something I noticed just about football in general. Like, you know, oh, this wide receiver caught a pass on this corner. He got burnt. He's trash.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Deion's the greatest corner I've ever seen play, and I've seen him get absolutely lit up before. I think people are a little too critical on defensive backs sometimes.
You know, that's probably true. I mean, I've said it before. I think cornerback's the most difficult position, probably besides quarterback, to play. Wide receivers know what route they're going to run. Defensive back has no idea.
Yeah.
And you got to cover the most athletic kids on the field in space. All I'm saying is that is our best. That's our best matchup. And I'm not even saying it's a great matchup, but that's.
Well, here's what I'll say. If there is a deficiency, it's at corner, but the safeties make up for it. James Williams and Cam Kitchens are absolutely elite. That's not even in question. And Cam Kitchens is back, and James Williams hasn't gone anywhere.
Let me ask you this: if Georgia Tech were to play well and give Miami a scare, what do you think would have happened in that game? Would it be that Miami threw for a bunch, or that you weren't able to do something on offense? What do you think that would look like?
I would assume the problem would probably be offensively, yes.
Okay.
Because even when Miami's been down, for the most part, the defense has been better than the offense. I mean, you have a year here or there where the offense is the one carrying us. Like 13 is an example. The offense carried us. I think it was 13. But more than anything, it's been our defense that has kept us in games more times than not. So that's just kind of the default that I go to.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And I would say if Tech were to just get run off the field, you tend to work inside out with throwing to open the run. So I would think you throw for, I don't know, 350 and run for 150. We wouldn't be able to stop you on defense. But it'll be interesting to see. I see Simona says these are humans, not robots. And that's why I think you have to be careful in your criticism and remembering these are young men out there, and there is a person behind that face mask.
Yeah, but this is something, and I don't know if other fan bases are bad about this. Maybe it's just I hear Miami more, but you have a lot of even Miami YouTubers. Well, these coaches are paid, yada yada yada, however much money they're paid. You blame them. You don't blame the kids. Well, guess what? The coach isn't the guy out there dropping the football when you're a 4-star wide receiver. The coach isn't the guy fumbling every 15th carry when you're a running back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, you have to put what's on the coaches and what's on the players, in my opinion.
Now, I'm going to see how this goes. I see PR Sports in the back. Now, just to give you a heads up, I try and keep it somewhat clean. I mean, if you drop a cuss word here and there, no biggie.
Yeah, I've tried.
But, yeah, we try and not totally go off. What's going on, PR? What do you want to talk about?
What's up?
What's going on, man? What you got?
Watching that Georgia Tech game, that was just awful to watch.
Yeah, I mean, you're not telling me anything. I don't know.
I mean, I would never thought a Power 5 team would just get embarrassed like that against a Group of 5 team.
I mean,
why not? It's happened to literally every Power 5 team there is.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Alabama lost to
Louisiana Monroe or something like that. Louisiana Lafayette.
Yeah.
So I'm glad she said it. Simona said Bama fans are brutal. I would say most SEC fan bases are pretty brutal, and you'll hear, "Oh, this kid's garbage. He sucks. He's a piece of crap," and whatnot. And it's like, I mean, come on.
Well, Alabama fans are overly spoiled at the moment. Like,
exactly.
And I hate to use him as an example, but he's almost the epitome of it. Is Ballard. Like, I don't get me wrong, I like Ballard. I do. But, ever since he quit shitting in his diaper, Alabama's been good.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing that's frustrating, I guess, when I see on YouTube. I mean, I'm coming off the heels of 5-7, 3-9 seasons. I'm like, these a-holes give me 1 8-4, 9-3, man. They'd have to run me off YouTube,
Yeah, well, and I think Miami fans are still kind of that way too, to be honest with you, because with the exception of 96 and 97, Miami was on top of college football from the late 70s through the mid 2000s.
Oh yeah. In fact, I saw and this, it's not just X-Wing. It's not like I'm picking on X-Wing. He doesn't do a ton of college football videos. But he did a video, and in the description, it was like, basically, fire Dion, or fire Nick and bring in Dion. Like, they're ready for, a lot of them are ready for Nick to go. The undisputed best college football coach of all time. And
no, that's not undisputed.
Okay. He's one of the best football coaches of all time, right? I mean, that you would want to get rid of him at this point because you've struggled a little bit last year and are struggling this year is insane. He was averaging a national title every other year for like a decade.
Yeah, but okay, let me add on to that. Nick Saban does not deserve to be fired at all. Like he would,
of
if he
course,
gets fired, he would. If he gets fired, he would just do it like a wrongful fire suit and be like, "Here's my history.
No, he
and,
wouldn't.
You know, why am I fired?"
What does he do on his contract? I mean, a ton.
His contracts for another few years at least. I can't remember exactly now. But here's the thing.
I think it's like 2028.
This is something Alabama administration has to look at. Because it's obvious what's happening. Do you want to see this turn into a Bobby Bowden thing where they have to run him off because he just won't go away and he doesn't have it anymore?
Well, I'll say this. He's got to show me more than what I've seen to say he doesn't have it anymore. Like, I think it's way too early to say he just doesn't have it anymore. Can we at least get to the end of this season?
Yeah, I mean, he's still recruiting at a very high level, so you can't say that he doesn't have it anymore.
Well, yes, he walks into a living room with a handful of rings, and that kind of does itself, but Alabama defenses are nowhere near what they've been. Alabama offenses are nowhere near what they've been. The discipline on this football team is nowhere. This team went almost 3 calendar years without being called for a hold. And now they're like averaging the 3rd most penalties in the country.
So what do you think that's coaching?
Yes, that's lack of discipline.
Okay.
So I think Nick Saban is and listen, he's a 72-year-old man. I mean, he can't just run up and down the sidelines with veins pulsing out of his neck, grabbing offensive linemen by the face mask forever.
What's going on, Colby?
What's up, boys?
Do you think Nick is done, Colby? Do you think Nick doesn't have it anymore?
Do I think he's done? Is that a multiple choice question or a yes or no question?
Just basically, is it time for Nick to go, or his better years behind him? And basically, Slim said they don't want to get into a situation like with Bobby Bowden that you kind of have to run him off.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, then I agree with Slim. Yeah. I don't think he's trying to leave, but I don't think he's I think he's in the decline. Yeah.
I honestly, I'm kind of believing the rumors that he's probably done after this year because I don't see him as the type. He's still going to want to go out when he's still kind of on top. Like that may be a 2 to 3 loss season, but like a 3-loss season is not terrible. So
no,
I don't think he's going to stick around until he's a 7-win coach.
He's always said that he wants to when he thinks he needs to step down, that he will. But I mean, shit. What's that matter?
So here's the thing. Once Nick Saban leaves, I mean, look at the history of Alabama and their coaching hires. You have Bear Bryant. I mean, and then in between Bear Bryant, you have really good coaches. And then you have Nick Saban. Arguably best coaches of all time. Like, you can argue both as the greatest of all time. So, a hire following Nick Saban that is only averaging 7 wins a season is unacceptable. And honestly, 8, 9 wins, I think that's unacceptable, just averaging those. So, we're going to need to hire...
I think you're going to need to do a little more research on Alabama. Because they were absolute dogs. They were absolute crap
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know there was a
in
time
between Bear Bryant and Gene Stallings, and Gene Stallings only won one title, and then between Gene Stallings and Nick Saban, they were absolute crap.
There's times where
Alabama is not immune to the cyclical nature of college football. They're not.
No, you're right. But what I'm saying is in today's college football world, it is unacceptable to go back to that.
Especially for Alabama fans. And that's why we've talked about on this show, whoever takes over after Nick will be gone inside of 3 years, most likely.
And that's why I think it's going to be a sacrificial lamb like Lane Kiffin.
Oh, man. Lane is going to have because they hate him in Tennessee, right? They would hate him at Ole Miss if he left them to go to Bama. And then Bama would end up hating him, like the entire SEC.
Here's the thing. If you change one thing in college football history, Nick Saban doesn't ever even come to Alabama. That's the thing. Alabama could still be in the gutter if one thing happened differently.
Oh, if they didn't hire Nick.
No. It's not even that. If Shula, Tim Tebow's final two were Alabama and Florida. If Tim Tebow goes to Alabama, Shula doesn't get fired.
Okay. Yeah, you could be right about that.
Well, Florida also had Urban Meyer, too, at the time.
Well, but that's not what Tim Tebow said what made his decision. He said God told him that he needed to go over there with Dan Mullen.
I heard Aaron Hernandez sent him a death threat and said, hey, if you don't come to Florida, I'll kill you.
No.
Kill your
Aaron
ass.
Hernandez wasn't stacking up bodies quite then.
Oh. Well,
but no, Tim Tebow has said that in an interview. He's like, the Lord told me, here to help Dan Mullen is where I needed to be. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but.
Sorry, I think I figured my mic thing out. So evidently, if you're logged into Discord, it auto adjusts your mic volume.
Oh.
So.
What Discord are you on?
My own Discord.
I didn't know you had Discord.
Yeah, man, it's in the link of the video. That it makes me think. Have you guys? I'm going off topic for a second, but this is a great excuse to bring this guy up. Have you heard the stories of Steven Seagal and like how much of an insane person he is?
Yeah.
That's Slim Shady Kane's favorite person talking about it, or one of his favorite people. He loves Steven Seagal, don't you, Slim?
Steven Seagal was like on the set for one of the movies. He comes out and tells one of the extras or something. He's like, "I just read the greatest script I've ever read." He's like, "Oh, really? Like, who wrote it?" He's like, "I did."
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, Steven Seagal loves him some Steven Seagal. There ain't no doubt. But what I find funny is like the people that call him fake. Like Steven Seagal, for as much of a self-absorbed prick that he is really good at what he does.
Lying about teaching Anderson Silva that kick that won him a title. Yeah, he's good at that.
Even Anderson Silva said Steven Seagal was one of his teachers.
I mean, yeah, he's an Aikido master, but how many UFC fighters are Aikido people? Like, you look at him do demonstrations, and they're just falling when he wants them to fall.
Well, no, he is the problem with Aikido is what Aikido was designed for.
Bullshido?
No. Aikido's legit, but what it was designed for is an unarmed person against somebody with a sword. So you're using a person's own momentum against them.
Have you seen him
It's
run?
the main premise behind it.
And you expect me to think this guy can do anything? He runs like my 3-year-old daughter.
Have you heard Tom Segura?
You realize he's like over 60 years old, right?
And he's looked like that for 40 years.
Have y'all heard Tom Segura talk about him?
Yes, dude.
Yeah.
I love Your Mom's House podcast, And number one, that's where I got turned on to Steven Seagal and all of this stuff, and Garth Brooks and how much of a absolute weirdo Garth Brooks is.
He is?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like when that Queen movie came out, Garth did this like documentary on Queen. And the whole point of the documentary, or in the documentary, he's basically saying the point of that Queen movie is not how great Queen was, it's that Garth loves Queen. And so he's like orchestrating the band, and after everything he says, and I like that, and I really love that. Like, you can tell he's been separated from society for so long. In fact, you can't find his stuff on Amazon or like iTunes or anything. So, or YouTube. So he literally tried, instead of having like MP3s, he tried to make GP3s, like his own format.
Like Garth Brooks is Lars Ulrich turned up to 11.
Now look, is he a great performer and great at what he does? Yes. But he's a weird dude. In fact,
so are his fans.
Yes.
To be honest with you.
Tom Segura started this campaign where on like all of his stuff, he'll comment, "Where are the bodies, Garth?" And he's been blocked from like everything Garth Brooks.
Oh, that's funny.
I got to see Tom live last year, man, and he was freaking awesome.
I haven't seen Tom live. I've seen Bill Burr live.
Oh, really? That'd be fun too.
I saw Burr. I know Pete saw Dave Chappelle, which is on my bucket list. I need to see Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, Dave Chappelle.
I think the last one I saw, was probably pre-2020. I want to say it was 20. My wife was pregnant. It was 2016. We went to go see Jeff Dunham.
Is he? Which one is he? Is he the one that?
Is he the ventriloquist?
Yeah, that's
he's he's the ventriloquist. Yeah. I always wanted to see Carlin. Unfortunately, I didn't get to.
George Carlin's one of the OGs, man. Like if you are like a cynical prick like me, George Carlin's great. In fact, I don't know that there's anyone as negative as George Carlin.
Like I've always, like, when it comes to stand up, like, for whatever reason, I've gravitated more towards, I guess you would say, guys that, like, some people don't even realize, like, Bob Saget and Robin Williams did stand up.
Bob Saget was raunchy.
Bob Saget, is he? No, he's not the bluest. Doug Stanhope might be the bluest comic I know.
Saget's pretty blue, and so is the Robin Williams one really tripped me out because, like, I grew up in the '90s with, Patch Adams and Hook and all that shit.
Oh yeah.
And then I get to see some Robin Williams stand up in the early 2000s, and I was like, whoa.
Well, do you want me to break your heart about Robin Williams stand up? He was a notorious joke thief.
Was he?
He would steal your stuff and do it same night.
Wow, what a dick.
And yeah, he was so well liked that no one really said anything about it. But yeah, we'll see if Zach, so you're going to head out. Yep, I'll see you tomorrow. I think I'll be on Sea Dog's channel streaming tomorrow. But
I really want to see
I guess PR didn't want to talk about comedians.
Nah, go ahead, Kobe.
No, I'm just saying Louis C.K. would be fun to see stand up live.
Is he out of like jail? Not like literal jail, but okay, like.
Yeah, he's been back for a while.
He pulled a Mel Tucker.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Like this isn't even like a hot take, but I've caught some flack for it. Joe Rogan's just not that funny to me. Not his stand up.
No, he's one of the greatest podcasters, but his stand up is like he plays himself off as this idiot, but he tries to be this intellectual at the same time, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, like, to me, he's better, and I don't know if you've ever seen it, but he put out a few DVDs on it. Like it was called An Evening with Kevin Smith. Like, he would go to these theaters and like basically do a Q&A. Like, to me, Rogan would be much better trying to go at it from that perspective.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I
like
think
this
he does
before,
that a little bit.
Like this was before, Kevin Smith was a Disney shill and just went retarded, but
Yeah, we probably will do a tailgate before the BC game. It didn't work out for South Carolina State. But I guess pivoting back to college football, Colby, you're a 14.5-point favorite over Kentucky. Now, I pissed off my own fan base and picked y'all to cover.
Oh, really?
How do you feel about Kentucky? I mean, they're undefeated. They're a decent team for sure. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, Georgia is not the Georgia that we've seen the past 2 years. I think everyone knows that. Like our whole defense isn't that good compared to Kentucky's run game. Their run game's probably the best that we've seen so far. And we just don't have that big guy in the middle that we used to have, like Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
We did, and then Barry Alexander, and then he transferred to USC. But I'm really worried about the run game. Wide receivers need to do something. I don't know what's going on with our passing game. It's good, but I feel like it could be better. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, yeah.
Then our run back.
Carson Beck is getting sneaky yardage.
Yeah, but
it's like you almost look up and you're like, how the hell does he have 300 yards passing?
Exactly. And then, but at the same time, I know why, Slim. It's because we can't fucking run the ball. We have probably the worst running back room in the SEC. It is completely garbage.
I don't think Kentucky has much of a chance to win this game, but the reason, I put a comment about Kentucky covering the spread is because that's just been a thing under Kirby that Georgia just doesn't cover spreads.
Yeah. I don't think. I mean, when I saw it earlier today, it was 14.5, and I would
still
not
is.
take. Yeah, still is. Yeah. See, I think we win by maybe 10 or 11, maybe 13. But if you look back in recent years when Georgia plays Kentucky, the last 4 years, Kentucky has they've lost, but they've covered the spread, and then Georgia this year has not beat the spread at all. So, betting wise, I mean, it's really good if you don't pick Georgia in the points.
Yeah, my point is, how under.
You're getting a call.
What's the over/under, RecTalk?
It's like 59, I think. I'll look.
What I was saying, sorry about that. I got a phone call. How Ryan Day and Ohio State are just notorious for covering spreads. Georgia's just been the opposite under Kirby. I mean, it is what it is.
Last year we were pretty good at it, but I mean, we weren't freaking covering every single.
Yeah.
But it was this year horrible.
Yeah, and Ohio State has had a year where under Ryan Day that they weren't as good at. I'm just saying in general.
The over/under is 47. I was wrong. So.
Yeah. See, that's what I remember it being in the 40s. I would take the over on that. I think the over will hit.
47 is one of the lower over/unders you're gonna see.
All right, y'all. I gotta bounce. I gotta call that back.
All right. We'll see you, Slim.
Did y'all talk about the Miami Georgia Tech game?
We did. I picked all the games that were worth picking. I picked Miami to win. I didn't pick them to cover 20 points, and I don't really have a substantive reason for saying that with what happened last week and kind of how shaky our defense has been. I just think after that Bowling Green loss that Tech's going to come out, play a lot better, but. We'll see.
Where's that game being played?
It's in Coral Gables.
Okay. I wonder how much the locker room's going to be affected with all the coaching changes for Georgia Tech.
Yeah, and I've said this too.
I say all the coaching changes. I mean you know what I mean.
It's weird to not fire a DC. Can you remember a coordinator like that being demoted since you've been watching college football and not just outright fired?
No, I can't think. No.
Yeah. So he's going to be the safeties coach now. So now he's been demoted basically to a position subservient to like other, like the defensive backs coach. And I said, like, think about like in your job, if you were promoted to your boss's position and then he was demoted to a position subservient to even the one you currently hold, like that would be a weird dynamic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that could create issues.
Well, I feel like this is what Georgia did last year. They just had 2 defensive coordinators. Why not just be like, hey, we're just going to add a defensive? Why need to go out in the public and say, hey, this guy got demoted? Why not just say, hey, we promoted a guy, now we have 2. Let's bring some more. I don't know. It just seems like a bad, I don't know, like a bad look for, I don't know.
It's not a good look, especially for Key, because we signed him to a new deal with all the coaching changes, and now 4 games in, you've demoted him. T-Far asked, do y'all get on the Georgia Tech Swarm? That's one of the message boards for Georgia Tech. Wanted y'all's opinion on the thread saying Brent Key is not the answer. I'll be honest with you, T-Far, I don't go on message boards because message boards or Facebook groups, because that's usually when you get the most kind of crazy fringe opinions. and Colby, you can probably speak to that if you're on like Georgia message boards. If you go on message boards, like the minute you have like a bad offensive showing, someone's going to say fire the offensive coordinator. And I'm sure in Georgia's forums, it's filled with fire Mike Bobo, which I also think is not the answer. But
yeah, well, see, my father, he's on mess. I'm not on message boards because I think we both know better. Like so,
yeah.
But so whenever he texts me, it's basically the message. He's like, hey, we need to. Carson should be out. Bobo shouldn't be there. We never should have promoted him.
Yeah,
I'm not. But I'm like, I mean, Pops, look at the numbers. I mean, I know we're not blowing people out like we were last year. I mean, but he's still. I mean, I don't know his ranks or anything in the SEC, but I imagine he's in the top half and probably doing well in the whole nation. I don't know his stats or anything, but I imagine he's doing. He's passed over 300 yards every single year. So I mean every single game. So
yeah,
must be doing something right.
And I've said, like, I don't understand the Bobo hate from the Georgia fan base. Like, from the minute he was hired, people were pissed about hiring Bobo.
Yeah, I was cautiously optimistic about it, and I still am. But I don't know. I mean, I think it was his first game, and I forget who. It was some UT Martin, I believe, and we were down. It was right before half, and we were like first and goal from the 5 or whatever, and it was a run pass, and everyone just freaked out because that's what he's known for, run pass, and everyone freaked out, and I feel like no one's gotten over that for some reason.
But he also averaged about 43 points a game when he was your OC under Rick. Like, your issues weren't offensive. GT Falcons fan says, can anyone blame him, talking about Key for keeping Thacker? I didn't see many folks calling for him to be canned when Key got the job permanently. It's not even about that, though. It's about there's a reason that you don't see coordinators demoted like this. And it's for what I just asked Colby. Like, imagine your boss being demoted below you and you taking his job. The whole dynamic of your coaching staff then is odd. I mean, he's going to be taking orders from Tillman, who he was his boss last week. So you also create issues of who's really in charge sometimes. So let's say that people don't really take or like what Kevin Scher, the new DC, is doing. Well, maybe they go to Thacker and are like, hey, man, it's total BS. You got demoted. You know, what do you think we should do? That's why you usually see a guy fired. And in careers, too, you never really see supervisors or above demoted for that reason as well.
Do you think it might be like a buyout issue?
It could be, yeah, because we just signed him to a 2-year deal. I think that would be about $1 million we'd have to pay. It happened with Chip Long and Winky last season, right? Yeah, but that was never announced. I mean, evidently Winky was calling plays, but that was never like announced in any official sense, probably for the reasons I just laid out. But in fact, I don't even know that the players knew that, because you could have someone else calling plays for you without your team kind of knowing that.
Yeah, people on the sidelines, there's probably 12 people just calling plays. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's just, again, it's not a good look. But, yeah, it could be financial. We're $300 million in debt, paying a coach $1 million buyout might not be something we want to do. And I haven't really said this. You could be playing a dirty game. Now, this happens in career as well, where it's far more advantageous to have an employee quit than fire him. Because if he quits, number one, you don't have to pay his buyout. Now, in career, it's because HR doesn't want a wrongful termination lawsuit against them. So a lot of times you'll just force a guy to quit. I don't know that that's the case. I know Key and Thacker are pretty good friends, but I don't know, man. It's bizarre, and I'll say this. Maybe it works out. I hope it does, but I don't like it.
So I know y'all kind of got screwed with Collins' deal. What's Brent Key's deal looking like?
Let me look it up. I mean, yeah, we had to pay Collins $11.37 million, and that was a contract that was so bad we fired our AD. Right? I mean, no one with a pulse was looking to hire Jeff Collins to a 7-year deal.
Yeah.
You know, let's see, Brent Key.
It has to be 3, maybe 4.
I think it might be 5. It's 5-year, $15 million.
Oh, okay.
So he makes $2.8 million a year right now, and then toward the end of it, it's 3.2, which makes him one of the lowest paid Power 5 coaches in the country.
Yeah.
But yeah, the answer is not, I think, fire Brent Key. I mean,
no. See, I'm on board with Brent Key still, and I watch y'all's games. I feel like Georgia Tech has been very unlucky this year, and they're not focused like they should. Because I feel like y'all's quarterback, Haynes King, I feel like he's got it going, but it's not clear. Okay, let me compare. It's kind of like Georgia's offense. Like, it's there, but it ain't there. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. But another weird – go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, shit, what was I about to say? Oh, yeah. So, the promotion y'all had, back to the promotion, he was y'all's linebacker coach?
So, GT Falcons is right. He was our co-DC. It's kind of weird that we had co-coordinators. Obviously, Thacker was like – the one who was actually the DC, though. He was our linebackers coach. That's why a lot of fans, including myself, are a little bit, what did you say, cautiously optimistic you were about Bobo. Our linebackers have been the worst position group on the defense up to this point. And just to give some background on Cher, he was your linebackers coach at UGA through the transition from Rick to Kirby. So Kirby retained him on staff. He then was the defensive coordinator for Tennessee under Pruitt, which I think it's kind of hard to judge a coordinator under what happened under Pruitt. Then he went to the Giants. He was let go, or his contract wasn't renewed in 2021. So that's another thing I'm a little bit like, he was sitting on his couch until we hired him. So
yeah, the Giants fired him, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So,
well, that's what Sea-Dog said. I don't have it.
I don't know if he was officially fired or if they just didn't renew his contract, which is, really the same thing. But yeah,
he's got cats. You can't trust him.
Mark Cruz says, "Wait, we have linebackers? I thought we just didn't play that position." Yeah, linebackers have not done all that well. But I guess let me ask you. So we talked about Georgia, Kentucky. What do you think about Notre Dame going to Louisville?
Oof, man. What, Louisville's undefeated, aren't they?
Yep. Louisville's undefeated. Notre Dame's 5-1. Obviously, only lost to Ohio State, and Notre Dame's a 6.5-point favorite. I picked Notre Dame. I actually picked Louisville to win this game outright.
Oh, you did, really?
Yeah. So obviously, I don't think they're covering.
Yeah. Oh, I think Notre Dame will cover.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're way off. Okay. Yeah. No, I like that.
Yeah,
No, I like what Notre Dame's doing. I really do.
Yeah, they caught a lot of flack last week, and I think on the ACC show. I don't know if you watch the ACC show. I think you do sometimes.
Yeah.
Who was? It was the Wake Forest guy on there that was like kind of crapping on Hartman. Like, oh, Hartman just can't show up for big games, which kind of reminds me of what Georgia fans said about Aaron Murray. But Sam Hartman wasn't responsible for getting 10 people out on defense 2 plays in a row. Like, he can only do so much. He is a really good quarterback. I don't know. I'm probably now – I've had the biggest swing with my opinion on Louisville. I thought they'd be doo-doo preseason. I'm probably higher than most on Louisville now.
Yeah. I think before their season, or before the season started, Louisville was hyped up. I think their over and under a win total was like 8.5 or maybe 9.5. I can't remember. But the thing about Notre Dame is it's like, okay, so they're not in a conference. If they lose a game, then I think the players know, I think the coaches know, but they won't say it, is that they won't make the playoffs. So if they lose one game, I feel like that deflates their whole season. When Georgia could go to, like last week, if we went to Auburn, lost to them, got blown out, we still have everything to play for. Notre Dame, on the other hand, they don't. So if you, I mean, but devil's advocate at the same time, like, I mean, if they join a conference, they don't have to pick and choose schedule, and they love doing that. So, I mean, when they lose, everyone's happy about it, especially ACC people.
Well, I'm happy about it just because they have this massive advantage of not having to play a conference championship. I mean, again, you go back to last year, don't you think USC would have really liked to not have to play a conference championship? They would have made the playoffs had they not had to play a conference championship. So can Notre Dame get in with one loss? Probably not this year. It's hard to say. I mean, there's a lot of they get kind of a Notre Dame bump a lot of times, or they did in the bowl era. Louisville could lose this game and still make the playoffs, though, if they made the ACC. So,
yep, exactly. See, but I mean, Notre Dame's they've held the line this long. Next year, you got 12 teams. So, I mean, if it was 12 teams this year, I mean, they're still in the hunt.
This is true. Yeah, that really helps Notre Dame with a 12-team playoff. Trying to think of the other big games.
You talked about Bama, Texas A&M?
I did talk about Bama, Texas A&M. Let me roll back up. That's a 2-point line, -2 for Alabama. Another low over-under at 46. Let me go back and look. I actually used a tier list to track this. What did I said Bama would
for like competitive games?
Yeah, well, I'll flash it on the screen. Let me I'll show you. I don't know if you can see it now or if you're just on StreamYard.
Okay, a little side note right quick. I bought a soundboard. I had my laptop ready, and I was ready to like mess around with it all night, you know?
Yeah.
And like try to like learn everything. My dang charger for my Mac won't even charge, so I ordered one off Amazon, so it comes in tomorrow. So I can't.
Oh, I heard you talking on Vic's show about that.
Yeah, I ordered the wrong one from Staples, and then I tried to go to Walmart. They didn't have one. They just had like the generic ones, like a HP plug-in or something. And yeah, I'm totally depressed. And I was like trying to like trying to fix this one. And it's just frustrated me even more. I don't even want to talk about it. Why'd I bring that crap up? No, anyway, I think Bama will cover the 2.5. I think they win by at least 10. I don't think Texas A&M has that new quarterback in Max Johnson, and I think he started at he played at Ole Miss. I don't think he played much, but I don't believe in Texas. I think that game's at Bama.
No, it's in College Station. That's why I wasn't super sure, but I also picked Bama to cover 2 points.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people like me and you might have forgot, but those Bama and Texas A&M fans, you remember when Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban went at it 2 years ago in the offseason?
I almost bought tickets to that game for that.
Yeah. I don't think I don't think they're too friendly yet.
Well, no, because Jimbo basically Nick came out and said they just bought a recruiting class, really threw shade at Jimbo, and Jimbo said, well, ask people that have coached for him about how he gets recruits. Basically, they'll tell you. So basically, accused Nick of cheating, which I'm not saying it's true or not. I think it looked bad for Nick because Nick was just mad that Jimbo was doing the same thing he'd probably been doing for a while.
Yeah, in a legal way.
Yeah, I mean, it was legal. I mean, they opened up the floodgates of NIL, and he took advantage of it.
Yeah, I think Jimbo came out like right when Nick he held his own press conference like in the off season. He called him out.
Yeah, he said he thinks he's Jesus or something over there.
Yeah, it was like a State of the Union address. Everyone was tuned into it.
Yeah, and my ex-wife's family, who I still see, is a bunch of, they're split on Alabama, Auburn. So there's a lot of Alabama fans, and I was going to go with them. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to feel really stupid if I spend like $400 or $500 on tickets and then Bama just steamrolls them. But it didn't happen, so I wish I would have bought tickets.
Yeah, that was a good game. I think Bama comes back with revenge. But I mean, Bama just, I don't think. But everyone's saying Bama's bad. Bama ain't bad, man. I mean, their quarterback situation ain't the best, but I mean, they just had Bryce Young. I mean, how are you supposed to follow that?
Well, think of the quarterbacks they're coming off of: Tua, Jalen Hurts, Bryce Young. I mean,
Mac Jones. These really really good quarterbacks. T4S, what's the best list game call-in show for Tech? I'm not sure exactly what you're asking, but if you're asking the best call-in show, I mean, obviously I think I'm the best one. That's why I'm on here. And I think I'm the only one. I don't think C-Dog. Yeah, I was about to say, I think there's only one right now. You are.
Let me go through some other games here. Virginia, William and Mary at Virginia, for some reason there's not a line on, which I don't understand.
It'll come out right before the game.
What do you think of LSU at Missouri? Missouri's undefeated. LSU with 2 losses. LSU's a 5.5-point favorite, over under 64 in Missouri.
64, jeez.
Go ahead, I'll be right back.
That's a big number, yeah. Well, this is like, I feel like this is make or break for LSU and Brian Kelly. LSU fans kind of remind me of Alabama fans. Like they don't put up with no 3 lost seasons. So if LSU comes out here and struggles against Missouri, and Missouri's a good team, I don't want to say they're a great team. 5-0 is a good team. But if they come out here and struggle and lose, Jesus Christ, LSU fans are going to send him back to a Notre Dame analysis job and go see his family. And but I think LSU beats Missouri. I don't know about the 5.5.
Did they do it by more than a field goal though?
Oh, is that the spread?
It's 5.5, which basically.
No, I think.
What did I pick here? I think I picked LSU to cover.
I think LSU covers. I really like the under in that game.
Okay, under 64. Yeah, I have not seen any Missouri football all year, so I don't know, but I do like what he's doing at Missouri from just looking at record and stats and whatnot. Now. Yeah. You brought up, I think, we've talked about Texas a little bit. Oklahoma at Texas. Texas -5 and over under 60.5. What do you think about that game?
I feel like everyone wants Texas to lose because everyone hates. You either love Texas or hate Texas.
Right.
And I'm kind of like, I don't really care, to be honest with you. But I kind of want Texas to win. I kind of want Texas to be back.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's good for college football, but I feel like they're not as good as people think they are. I know they got big ass wide receivers and just toss the ball up to them and they'll jump and catch it on their tippy toes and whatnot. But I mean, I feel like Texas will win. What's the spread? It's like 6.5.
It's 5. They also have A.D. Mitchell, who you should be familiar with.
Never heard of her.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a baller too. Yeah, I like Texas. 5, yeah. I would take Texas at 6.5, but 5, yeah, give me Texas. Oklahoma has turned it around. Last year they were complete garbage, but Brent Venables, I mean, he's doing what he does. I mean, look at Georgia. Kirby Smart's first year, he was absolute. I won't say trash, but he was 7-5 with the bowl win. But second year coaches, I mean, they kind of turn it around.
And
maybe like Brent Key will.
Yeah, that's what we're kind of talking about, of just being a little bit patient. I mean, Kirby, you're right. In his first year, he lost to Vanderbilt, he lost to Georgia Tech, and then he lost 3 other games. So you look at what Georgia's been lately, which I don't like acknowledging, but I mean, it is what it is. You know, you got to give a coach a little bit of time.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to look through. We'll probably wrap up real quick. We'll just talk about Tech. Tech at Miami. That line has moved. It started off at like 16.5. It's moved to 20 points now. Over/under's 57. I did not pick Miami to cover in this game. What do you think?
57. What time is the game?
It's at 8 o'clock.
Jeez. I think Miami will cover, man. I don't think this game's going to be close, unfortunately.
Yeah.
As much as I want Tech to win. Like, I want to see Georgia Tech do good because I think it's good for our rivalry. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's at 20 now?
It's at 20, yeah. I would have probably – I thought 16 kind of wasn't enough points. I don't know. I have no reason to think that they won't cover other than I don't think they'll cover, if that makes sense. I don't have any evidence to support that.
Yeah. No, I'm going to have to say they cover. I think I would even put it at like 22, maybe 22.5. I think Miami's on a roll. I don't think Miami's really good. I don't think they're like I think they're a top 15 team. But I don't think they're playoff material, but I mean, that quarterback that they have, he's something.
TVD's been very good. I watched a good bit of film on them. The guy throws well under pressure. He's very accurate. They have 3 wide receivers that all have the talent to play on Sunday. They have a good number of defensive linemen. They probably got 6 defensive linemen that all can get after it. So, and they have 4 running backs, 2 of which are really, really good, in Parrish and Chaney. So, yeah, it's going to be a long day for Tech for sure. But y'all have to tune in tomorrow when we live stream that game, C-Dog and I. That'll be on C-Dog's channel. CUPR, we're going to wrap up here, though. Colby, you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to miss most of college football tomorrow. I'm going to the Braves game, actually, with my dad. So
the Phillies, yeah. Well, you'll be right up the road from me.
Okay, cool, yeah. I'll buy you a hot dog and send it on over, okay?
Sounds good.
No, hopefully we win, but yeah, that's it. Hey, thanks for having me on, Rick.
Yeah, no problem, man. That was Colby, everyone. Colby's a good dude. And yeah, I do hope we don't. I mean, this is a football channel, but the Braves are loaded and they're set up for a dynasty. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Appreciate all you guys tuning in. Appreciate all the super chats, and hopefully we got something a little better to talk about in the post-game show tomorrow. You guys have a great night, and if no one's told you,